Hey, welcome to the Life After Marriage. We're glad you found us.
This is a place where two millennial parents,
That's right, us,
share practical tips on marriage, family, and parenting in today's fast-paced society.
So my name is Jonathan, and this is my beautiful wife.
Vanessa,
And these are our two kids, Josiah, who's two, and Isaiah, who's 7 months, and both are under the age of 2. And yes, we're still here.
by the grace of God, we're still here. We may not have it all together.
That's right.
But we're here to help you thrive as a family. Join us as we learn together how to live
The life after marriage.
So this is our first episode
That's right.
ever. So welcome and bear with us because this is all new. The kids are like, what is this?
And they're already going at it. And so today, I want you guys to know we want to thank each one of you guys for your support,
Yes.
for your love. As we've kind of reached out to many of you guys have reached back out and said, man, we need this. We thank you so much for this. And I want you to know you're not alone on this journey. That's the whole point of this. We don't have it together. We're learning, we're growing, but we want you guys to come alongside us and we come alongside you as we continue to learn together about this married life, about parenting, and about family. So in today's episode, my wife brought up a good topic that we can start off this conversation. Go ahead, babe. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, so for today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the word transition. I mean, we just went through a big transition ourselves by adding Isaiah
That's
into
right.
our family.
That's
So
right.
we just went from being a family of 3 to a family of 4. And so transitions are part of marriage and they're part of life.
That's right.
And to start it off, I just remember when we first got married, there were so many transitions going on, left and right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it and you sit down and think about it, most of you guys were probably in school, maybe got engaged after you went to school. That's what happened to us. And then after being, it's okay. And then after being engaged and you've just been preparing for your wedding day and you've just been going at that and getting ready for that, and then you're married and then the next day you wake up and you just realize it's just us two.
That's right. Yeah.
It's just us two.
Yeah.
This is it. And then the whole transition period begins, you know. You as an individual, you're trying to develop your sense of your career path, where you're trying to go,
And so it happened to us when we got married.
Yeah.
After that, we pretty much drove down from my wife's family's house, which is by Sacramento, drove down 8 hours to where we live in LA. And then from there, we pretty much had a couple, 1-2 days, and then we drove all the way 34 hours or about that, all the way to Houston with about 35 cans of beans and rice. That's literally what we started with. And so we pretty much, and thanks to my brother for helping us out as well, being in that moment and helping us drive. And so pretty much that was kind of our journey. We got married, drove down, headed out to Houston, not knowing no one. And pretty much that was one of the biggest transitions we had starting our marriage off.
we left our family behind.
Right.
We left everything we knew behind.
Right.
And we literally started off at a blank slate.
Right.
And I think that was tough. That was tough on me, and I think I can speak for you as well. It was tough on you as well,
right.
because we began our careers paths as well. You know, he started off in ministry. I was starting off in business. You know, started working with accounting, bookkeeping, and all that kind of stuff. But we were it got to the point where we both started focusing so much on our career path.
Yeah, so much on it.
That we kind of, in a sense, started veering away from each other. And we've noticed that in many, yes, buddy, it's okay. We've noticed that many times. This is a danger zone in many marriages.
That's right. That's right.
It's sad. Last year, many of our friends separated, and it really hurt us. And sometimes these things where we don't know how to deal with these transitions, it affects our marriages so much.
Definitely, and I think that's a huge point to understand is, I think it's, you know, in that moment, I remember us going through something so difficult as like one of our cars got in an accident, and so we were pretty much down to one car. And so in this kind of path of her choosing this way and I'm going this way, and then we're both kind of coming back home as like, hey, how do we continue to work so we can continue to build our little empire that we so want to call. And at the same time as we went, we were going like this. And I just feel like at that point, God was able to really help and kind of bring clarity and understanding. We didn't know it at the time, and our cars got hit. And so what that brought to us, as we look back, at that point, we're like, oh my gosh, what are you going to do? You need a car, I need a car, da, da, da. And so we got a little anxious. But I love it that what that brought to our family and our relationship and our marriage was this back to one, like coming back together. And I think for us, that was so key, because I remember realizing that at that moment, having one car, pretty much you got to wake up earlier, you know, pretty much you got to do things together. Pretty much you got to head out together.
You have to learn to plan together. He had to plan his meetings around my schedule, because, hey, she needs to be at work at this time. She needs to get picked up at this time.
And I would literally drop her off at work, and then I would go to work, and then I forgot, I'm not going straight home. I got to pick up my wife and go straight up. And so we went through this transition moment early in our marriage as we were kind of veering like this.
We were already starting to veer.
Kind of thing. We realized in that first year of marriage, it was so important to come back together. And I truly believe God was able to bring us back together to that point where we're like, hey, like, you know, we were able to do devotionals together in the mornings.
Because if you're in Houston, and I know many of our friends are, traffic is insane.
Yes.
So we would have like 30, 40 minutes in the car.
So either she would drive and I would read, or she would or I would drive and she would read. But what that helped us is that even in those tough transitions, there was this moment of trust. Yeah. And that's what we want to get to. In these tough transitions, there has to be points in our life where we say, hey, I trust you, God, and I trust you, partner. And these are the moments that really build us when we continually, in the tough moments, continue to trust. And so, those were some of the things that we experienced early on in our marriage. And I'll be honest with you guys, just gonna keep it honest. The first year of marriage is the hardest part, I think.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's so much adjustment. There's so much happening in both of our lives. There's so much things that are happening at the home and outside, and trying to balance each other's kind of time management and kind of schedule, that it just kind of throws you in two different wavelengths. And so we noticed that early on in our marriage, that, you know, all these things were trying to help us back, help us to trust God, help us to trust each other as we continue to like walk in this newness together, in this oneness. And so I know one of the biggest tips that we want to leave you guys off, if you're in your first year of marriage, is take the time to understand each other's needs and wants, and learn to communicate with one another. Sometimes we just put our relationship and our marriage in the back burner, and we just tend to learn to deal with the everyday to-day life. But no, like, we encourage you, take some time out of your day to literally put the phone aside, turn off the TV, turn off your laptops, and focus on talking to one another. Ask each other, literally, and it may sound cliche, but how was your day? Intentionally try to listen. No, puppy. Try to listen to each other. Try to talk. If you guys have problems even like communicating with one another, maybe write down questions in a little jar, in a little cup that can help spark conversations. Because that is just so important in your marriage, learning how to talk to one another, and most importantly too, learning to understand each other. I know that was a big thing in our marriage. I'm a big crybaby. I would cry about everything, happiness, joy, sadness, everything would just trigger me, tears. And for me, I was like, why are you crying? What did I do wrong? And so,
sorry.
Baby on the loose. And so, what pretty much we, like, I was like, what did I do wrong? Why are you crying? Because for me, that was like an indication of, like, you know, something I did wrong. And so, what later I found out is that when tears were a part of her life, that tears were a part, whether it was sadness or joy, it was just a part of her. And for me, that was like a big realization of understanding that, hey, next time, whether you cry, if it's for a joyous moment, I understand that's the way she expresses herself. Or if it's for a happy or a sad moment, I understand that's a part of her life. And so this is the beauty of trying to, in the transitions of life, as you try to understand each other, I think these are the things that you start to build together, and these are the things that you start as a family and as a marriage to be like, wow, okay, I get that piece of you. I get the little piece of the puzzle of the person that you are, and I'm gonna respect that, and I'm gonna admire that, and I'm gonna encourage that, because at the end of the day, I don't want her to stop crying. I want her to express herself, but with the realization that I know that that is what she's going through, that's what she's feeling, and that's just a part of her.
Yeah, and just going back to that, it's just learning to understand each other,
Yeah.
learning to communicate with one another. And I know it might be tough in that first year because you're just like, hey, we just went through this whole season of dating and just having these short time together, but now you're with this person 24/7. It's just learning to cultivate that patience. We talked about that in our post, 1 Corinthians. We talked about the first description that the Bible gives of love is patience. So learn to be patient with one another. And do you want to expand on that in a little bit?
And so I think that for me, that was, I had heard about it, but until I lived in it, in terms of marriage, I finally figured out with kids or with my wife, the one thing the attribute that I want God to help me with is the first description of love, which is patience. And I always have to call myself and tell myself from time to time, hey, gotta be patient, gotta be patient, gotta be patient. Because it's truly, well, that's what the life after marriage becomes, a life of patience. A life of patience, a life of personal growth and development and character that is formulated in patience. And so whether you think about it, with the child crying, you gotta have patience. With the wife that maybe he's going through something difficult, you gotta have patience. With the husband that comes in and maybe he's hungry or maybe he's going through something that day that you might not understand, you gotta have patience. And so it takes patience to really dive deep and understand the other person. And so that's what we want to share a little bit on transitions today. If there's any questions that you have, if there's any comments that you want to share that to enhance this conversation, we're all about that. If there's anything that you want to share that really inspired you, that really you were like, wow, that really got to me, share with us. What's transitions been like for you? What's transitions been like for you? And so we're like we said, this is our first one. We're excited to start this journey. As you can tell, our kids are here. It's that kind of day.
And we're not probably going to have like the perfect video all the time because we are parents. This is life. We're trying to show you guys like the reality of things. Life is not perfect. We have
I think
children.
He's about to be hungry, so
but join us every Monday. We're gonna dedicate Mondays to marriages.
Monday
marriage. So join us every Monday. We're gonna strive to post a video up. And stay tuned throughout the week. Throughout the week, we're going to want to post up that relate to the video that's coming. On our stories, we want to interact with you. So please feel free to interact with us, DM us, message us. We're happy to answer any questions you guys may have. And we're all on the same team, guys. We're here to help each other grow. We're here to help each other thrive. And thank you for joining us today.
That's right. All right. So take care. God bless. All the best. And again, thank you for your love and support. And we're looking forward to continuing this journey with you guys. All right. Take care. Bye.
See ya.